Sometimes life hits us harder than we ever imagined, but in those darkest moments, we find the strength within us that can carry us farther than we think. MrBeast's $5 million competition brought together a group of hopeful contestants, each with their own dreams, each with their own reasons for entering. But today, we're telling a story that goes beyond just the fame or the money. This is a story about a young man fighting not just for himself, but for the person he loves the most. A fight to save his family and his sister's life. This isn't just a competition. This is his battle for hope. Meet Lucas. He's just 19 years old from a small town in rural America. A town where everyone knows everyone and where people tend to stay for life. Lucas, however, was facing a battle that no young person should ever have to deal with. He lost both of his parents in a tragic car accident when he was just 10 years old. The accident shook the entire town, but for Lucas, it was more than just a tragic loss. It was the beginning of a life filled with hardship. From that moment on, Lucas had to grow up fast. He became the sole guardian of his younger sister, Sophie. Sophie was only 5 when their parents passed away, and she's been suffering from a serious heart condition for most of her life. Lucas has always been her protector, her rock. But taking care of a sick child isn't easy, especially when you're struggling to make ends meet. Lucas works 2, sometimes even 3 jobs, from flipping burgers to cleaning offices late at night, just to pay for Sophie's medications, doctor's visits, and the mounting medical bills. But despite his best efforts, Sophie's condition is worsening. The doctors say she needs an expensive procedure, something Lucas can't afford. Sophie is everything to him, and he knows that without this treatment, she may not make it. That thought keeps him awake at night. Lucas knows his only hope lies in one thing: a chance to change their lives forever. One night, while scrolling through social media on a rare break between jobs, Lucas saw an ad that would change everything. It was MrBeast's $5 million competition. At first, it seemed like just another wild dream, something that was never meant for someone like him. But as he read more about the competition, a spark of hope flickered inside him. This could be it, the opportunity he's been waiting for. This wasn't just a game to Lucas. It was a lifeline for his sister. He didn't care about the fame, the social media buzz, or the brand deals. All he cared about was getting the money he needed for Sophie's treatment. He immediately entered the competition, knowing that this was his shot at changing their lives. The competition was fierce. Contestants from all walks of life had gathered, each with their own story and their own reason for being there. The challenges were tough, and the stakes were high, but Lucas wasn't intimidated. He entered with a fire in his heart, a fire that burned brighter with every challenge he faced. But this wasn't just about winning money. This was about survival. This was about fighting for the people he loved. The first few rounds were brutal. Lucas wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the fastest. But there was something inside him that made him keep going. He pushed through every obstacle, every task, no matter how tough it was. The other contestants, many of whom had trained for months, seemed to breeze through the challenges, while Lucas felt his body beginning to wear out. But he refused to give up. Every time his body screamed for rest, he thought about Sophie. "I need to save her," he told himself. That thought kept him going. It was the fuel that powered him forward. As the competition continued, Lucas's body started to break down. The constant pressure from the competition, mixed with the exhaustion from his 2 jobs, was taking its toll. He could feel his muscles giving out, his stamina slipping. His heart was racing, his breath shallow, and his mind was starting to fog over. Then came the moment. It happened during a particularly grueling challenge. The task required the contestants to endure hours of physical activity, something Lucas had barely prepared for. His vision began to blur. His knees buckled, and before he knew it, he was on the ground. He tried to push himself up, but his body wouldn't cooperate. His head spun, and he felt like the world was crashing down around him. The medical team rushed to his side. They started checking his vitals and trying to stabilize him, but Lucas could barely stay awake. He could hear voices around him, but everything felt distant and muffled. As the doctors worked on him, something incredible happened. MrBeast, who had been overseeing the competition, came over. He saw Lucas's condition and immediately recognized that there was something much more important at play here. Lucas wasn't just fighting to win money, he was fighting for his sister's life. After Lucas was stabilized and taken to the medical tent, MrBeast asked to speak with him. By now, the other contestants were all buzzing about what had happened, but MrBeast wasn't thinking about the competition. He was thinking about Lucas, about the real reason he was there. MrBeast asked Lucas what had driven him to push himself so hard, and Lucas, barely able to sit up, shared his story. MrBeast listened intently. He heard about the car accident, the years of hardship, and most importantly, the struggle to save Sophie. Lucas wasn't there for fame, for the limelight. He was there because he loved his sister more than anything in the world. And MrBeast knew that this was a story worth hearing. After hearing everything, MrBeast made a decision. He didn't care if Lucas won the competition or not. What mattered was that Lucas had earned something much more valuable than money. MrBeast announced that he would donate $250,000 directly to Sophie's treatment. Lucas was in shock. What do you mean?" he asked, his voice trembling. "You don't have to win the competition to get the help you need," MrBeast said, with a soft smile. "This is for Sophie." Tears welled up in Lucas's eyes as he tried to process what had just happened. It was more than he could have ever hoped for. He had been fighting for this moment, and now, in the face of overwhelming odds, it was happening. He didn't win the competition, but he had won something far greater. He had won the chance to save Sophie's life. With the $250,000 donation, Lucas was able to get Sophie the treatment she so desperately needed. The procedure was a success, and within weeks, Sophie's health began to improve. It was a life-changing moment for them both. For the first time in years, Lucas could breathe a little easier. He didn't have to work himself to the bone just to keep up with the mounting medical bills. Sophie was getting better, and for Lucas, that was all that mattered. But Lucas didn't stop there. With the remaining money, he set out to help others who were in similar situations, families struggling with medical costs, people who didn't have the resources to get the treatment they needed. "If I can help Sophie, I want to help anyone who's facing the same battle," Lucas said, determined to make a real difference in the world. His hardship had made him stronger, and now he had the opportunity to give others a chance at the hope he had almost lost. Lucas wasn't just going to let his own story be the end. He was going to use his second chance to change lives. Over time, Sophie's health continued to improve. She was able to go back to school, to play with her friends, to experience life as a normal kid. For Lucas, seeing Sophie healthy again was the ultimate reward. He had spent years carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, but now he had a chance to live a life that was free from that constant burden. But Lucas knew that the journey wasn't over. He started a foundation in Sophie's name, dedicated to helping families like his families who had to choose between paying rent and paying for treatment. The foundation raised money, provided scholarships, and supported families in need. Lucas used his newfound platform to spread the word, to tell his story, and to inspire others. Sophie's recovery and the success of the foundation made Lucas realize that the greatest victories don't always come in the form of trophies or money. Sometimes they come from the impact we have on others. "I didn't win the competition," Lucas said, looking back at everything that had happened. "But I gained something far more important, the chance to make a real difference." Lucas's life was never the same after that. He wasn't weighed down by the pressure of keeping Sophie alive anymore. Instead, he was driven by a new purpose.
Disclaimer. Hey, just so you know, this story is completely fictional. It's not based on any real people or organizations. It's created purely for inspiration and entertainment purposes. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment telling us what you thought. We'd love to know your opinion on this story, so don't be shy. Share your thoughts with us.